It was a very up and down series for the Marlins against the Mariners, and ultimately they dropped 2 out of 3, even with the valiant effort from Agustin Ramirez.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for almost 3 years now. Go hit me up over on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. And this episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. And joining me on Monday is Loud Miami fan Chase. Welcome in to the show once again.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday.
It is a happy Monday. The Marlins will be heading down to LA for a 3-game set against the mighty Dodgers. But on today's show, we're going to break down the Mariners series, take a look at just how incredible Agustin Ramirez has been for this team, and a pitching change. Connor Gillispie has been optioned, break down what that means for the Marlins moving forward, and then preview a little bit of the Dodgers series, what the Marlins have to do in order to win a couple games down there. If not 3 in a row, that would be great. But first off, let's talk about this Mariners series because it was a weird one. They get the win on Friday night, and then they get the doors blown off of them on Saturday in an absolutely pathetic performance from the team as a whole. It really upset me. And then Sunday, they showed some heart, showed some battle, but they couldn't get it done. They come up a run short. Chase, what's your immediate thoughts as to this series in particular?
As you said, it was an up and down series, man. Like Friday night, you score a lot of runs, you're happy. Pitching was decent. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but you score the runs and you feel good about the series. Saturday comes, and after 3 pitches, you knew that game was over. Like, I think I tweeted it. The last time I saw a game like that was the Nestor Cortez opening weekend game versus the Yankees, where he gave up 3 home runs on 3 or 4 pitches, and he knew Gillispie was going to have a rough night, and he did. Now he's where he belongs, back in AAA, which I look forward to seeing what move they make for that. And then today's game, you start off hot. Start off with a home run, the third at bat, or first at bat, but third person at bat. Agustin Ramirez gets the home run, puts you up 1-0. You're excited, and then it was all downhill from there. Max didn't have the Max stuff he had earlier in the week, which he had a good week overall. 14 strikeouts earlier in the week, and he only lasted a few innings today. Overall, you leave the series happy-ish because you get such a great offensive performance over the weekend by Agustin Ramirez. But overall, you got to win these series. You left too many runners on base when you had some opportunities today.
Well, the Friday series, or the Friday game rather, I liked seeing Agustin Ramirez. I mean, he is the focal point of this series from a Marlins perspective. Offensively, he hit 2 home runs in this series, or was it 3? It was actually 3, yeah. So 3 homers, 2 on Sunday. I mean, he was just tearing the cover off the ball. He is a bona fide star in this lineup. But what really sticks out to me is that Saturday game, that middle game. It left such a bad taste in the mouths of the Marlins. I mean, 14-0, and Javier Sanoja, a position player, is pitching 2 innings. Like, that shouldn't ever happen in a major league game. It really shouldn't. It's an embarrassment to baseball, and it's a really, in Connor Gillispie, that was the final straw. There was no way you can justify keeping him in the rotation. He gave up 7 earned runs in 2-3 innings, and goes on, his ERA bloated up to over 8. I mean, it was ridiculous. It had to happen. They They option him to AAA the day after on Sunday. And now we're just kind of waiting to see where that rotation spot, who fills that rotation spot moving forward. But let's go back, stay positive a little bit to Agustin Ramirez. Obviously, this start isn't sustainable, and he's going to come down to earth. He's going to have his struggles, but you know what? He's for real, and he's going to be a very, very good hitter for the Marlins for many years to come.
If you go with the 0-4 middle game that he had, a couple strikeouts, to today starting the day off with a home run, it just shows maturity that you don't let the game before affect you. So yeah, I mean it's normal. He's not going to bat 700 his whole career. It would be really nice if he did, but he's not going to do it. And we as the fans have to stick by him with the ups and downs that we'll experience, kind of like we did with Stanton. Unfortunately, today, the last at bat reminded me of Stanton, when it is the last at bat and just you go down swinging, unfortunately. But you know what? It is a positive to have this young man on this team. It's something we haven't had in a long time. I mean, yeah, we got behind Jazz, and we'll always love Jazz, and as he continues his career with the Yankees and beyond. But you really haven't had this since a Stanton, I'll say. You haven't had the guy who can just hit power. And then you got Davison De Los Santos walking off for the AAA team today and in Jacksonville. So you got two big power guys. One needs to stop striking out so much before he comes up, but the other one's up here. And then Connor Norby today gets his first monster dong of the season. Can't forget that one. And he's showing that his power's back, at least with one home run. So this lineup can be really good. But for the first time in a long time, we have the hitting, but we don't have the pitching.
The hitting has been the strength of this team, which is wild to say, considering what we felt about this organization before the start of the season. We felt the talent just wasn't there. We didn't know that Kyle Stowers was going to emerge, and we didn't know that Agustin Ramirez was going to make such an early impact and star impact on this team. The Norby home run absolutely crushed it. 3-run jack. And then Ramirez's 2 home runs, it was really cool because each of those hits were different. The first one was just a frozen rope that got out of the stadium in a heartbeat. And then the second one, he could just stand and just admire it for days because it was a double deck blast. It was just awesome. But you said it, this lineup can pack a punch. The issue has been the pitching. And the reason why the Marlins, suffered an embarrassing defeat on Saturday was because of the pitching. And I'm also going to go as far as to say that on Sunday, they possibly could have pulled out that comeback win if it wasn't for Clayton McCullough bringing in questionable guys out of the bullpen. The bullpen is just a mess. It seems like McCullough kind of punts games when it comes to the bullpen at times. But Connor Gillispie, he's done. He's out. Thank goodness, because that Saturday start was atrocious. We're going to talk about him, the move to AAA, who fills his spot. Adam Major, Valente Beozo. There's a couple of options for the Marlins. That's coming up right after this. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or you're diving into player props. A good one for this week for basketball, Luka Doncic. How about Luka? Even though they lost, the Lakers are in danger of getting knocked out of the NBA playoffs. Luka's on fire. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. And after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out, guys. Go ahead to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. If you're an everyday listener, thank you for being a part of the Locked On Marlins crew. If this is your first episode, leave a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel so you don't miss any future episodes. And Loud Miami fan LMF is in the house on Monday as usual. And we're talking about Connor Gillispie. He had to go. Who replaces him in the rotation? That is going to be the question of the week.
I got to go with Adam Major. He had such a great game. I believe it was Saturday down in Jacksonville. He's ready. He's on the 40-man roster. Fish on first team really did a good job of breaking that down on their call Sunday night. He's ready to come up, and it won't mean they have to plug and play. Someone has to be DFA'd. It doesn't have to happen. Belozzo's your other option, but you know what you're getting with Valente. I would call up Adam Major. You know, you're home at that point. You're facing, the Athletics, not Oakland anymore, the Athletics on Friday night.
Just the
It would be
Athletics.
perfect game for him. You know, home crowd filing in. It's going to be a big weekend. The unveiling of the City Connects next week, and I'm excited for that. But Adam Major is my choice. There's no really other option unless you're going to stun us and say Ryan Weathers is all ready to go after one rehab start.
It makes so much sense to call it Major for this one, just because, Gillispie was a good story in spring training, and to be fair, he earned the shot. And I talk a lot about this on the show. When players get their opportunities, that's the make or break time. You either take it and run with it, like Kyle Stowers did, or you ultimately show that you're not going to stick around. And unfortunately, I wish Gillispie nothing but the best, but he's just a depth piece right now. He filled a need for the Marlins, but it wasn't working out. And Major has nothing left to prove in AAA. I don't think you're going to see him do anything more or less to not justify getting a call up here. He has major league experience. He started 7-8 games with San Diego last season. And now you look at Ryan Weathers, and that's really interesting because he is on his way back a lot sooner than I might have anticipated with the rehab start. He went 3 innings. Yori Perez also is on his way back. He's in Jupiter making it rehab start. So the Marlins have reinforcements on the way. I agree with you, though. It's got to be Adam Major. He deserves the opportunity. Bellozo, I like him, but he's just the 4-inning, 5-inning guy. He's not somebody that's going to give you 6 or 7. And real quick, when it comes to that second part of the rotation, that's been an issue for the Marlins. Cal Quantrill, he had a decent start, gave the Marlins a chance, but in that 6th inning, it just all fell apart on Friday night. They got the dub, but Cal Quantrill just feels like he's running out of time. Like, if he has 1 or 2 more of these bad starts, LMF, I don't know how you can really justify keeping him in the rotation when you have guys like Major or Jansen Junk who could get a shot and throws the ball really well, or even Robbie Snelling, who's in Double-A but could progress to Triple-A and then the Marlins here shortly. There's a lot of options. Do you feel the same way with me on Cal Quantrill, or are you just kind of like, it is what it is?
I'm going to ride the wave all season with them. You're paying them $5 million. That's what a 5th starter is. A 5th starter is going to give you innings and produce innings.
But he's not giving innings.
The problem is on this team, we have too many starters like Call Contrell. Gillispie, he's been sent down. Edward Cabrera's hit or miss lately. Like, he has a great inning, he has a bad inning. He has a great inning, he has a bad inning. Call Contrell's falling right in. Sandy's getting into trouble himself. He's not been great or perfect yet. He's getting to some trouble he can't get out of. After I think it was a 2-inning start last week, his comeback start on Wednesday before they traveled was good, but it wasn't great, right? So I think you have to burn his arm, even if it's just 5 innings. They're not letting the way they're treating these pitchers is strange to me. Even if they're on fire, they're not letting them really get through the 3rd rotation of the batting order. And then they unravel when they do. So who knows who's right or wrong here when they have in their heads. Pitching's such a mind game, right? If you in your head know, oh, this may be my last batter, it's messing with you. So they have to give these guys a little bit more opportunity. But regarding Call Control, He's a fifth starter. He reminds me of Mike Redman. Mark Redman, I'm sorry, Mark Redman from 2003. He would come in, he was the Marlins' fifth starter. They traded for him the season prior, and you would be hit or miss with him. But you have to have the fifth starter. And then when D Train and others came up, he kind of got wet out of that and became the bullpen guy. When we get back Weathers, when we get back Yuri, this won't even be a conversation. They'll have a 6-man rotation, a 5-man rotation, and our bullpen's going to be full of guys who can give them depth.
So let's take that idea and kind of run with it here. Yuri comes back. Hopefully June is kind of what I'm looking at. And then you have Ryan Weathers, who will be up. If not this week, it feels like next week, maybe the week after. It's soon. You know, where would what would the rotation look like? Because you'd have Sandy at the 1, Max at the 2, and then Ryan Weathers 3, and then Yuri 4, Yuri 3. Like, you can flip flop them, and then that fifth guy is probably still going to be Quantrill, like you said. Hopefully, the best case scenario, he pitches well enough where you can flip him at the deadline to be an innings eater for a contender who needs a back end starter and get a prospect, a shot in the dark. That's the only thing I'm hoping for, because hindsight's 2020. I get that. But when you're in the free agent market in the offseason and you look at the guy from the Mets, Quintana, you have Andrew Heaney, both those guys are pitching really well, and they signed for cheap. It felt like the Marlins just kind of swung and missed on this one.
When it is time and we have a plethora of healthy arms, we'll see what they do with Sandy, but it should line up like this: Sandy, Weathers, Max. Even though Max is a number 2, he should stay at the number 3. The 4, you got Yuri, who's also a number 2, who's now at your
Right.
number 4. And then you have Edward at 5, Control at 6, or flip flop them with your days off and give your bullpen some help. There's a big problem you mentioned earlier in the show, and that is the bullpen. And the reason the manager McCullough has to keep going to different guys on different nights and in impromptu situations is they're just getting beat up. Like, I don't mean getting hit. I mean, they're pitching almost every night for 3, 4, or 5 innings, and it's blowing their arms out where you don't have a set, okay, this is my 7th inning guy, this is my 8th inning guy, this is my closer. You can't do that when you're bringing guys in the 4th and 5th inning. And that's why it's so important that the starters get that opportunity, put themselves in the position to have that opportunity to get to the third part of the batting order and get through it.
It makes me wonder if you could see the Marlins potentially calling up some arms from AAA, not Arias or Soriano, because their ceiling is so limited. Soriano's just not good. Arias, he really hasn't shown it in AAA or the majors. But like Josh Simpson, Josh Eknes, those guys in spring training that throw really hard, they're also lefties. I mean, that could provide some juice to the bullpen, because right now it feels like, besides Bacher, Bender, and Fauché, and I'll throw Tinoco in as well, I don't really have a ton of confidence in any of those guys. And anytime Soriano comes in the game, it's over. The game's already lost, and he's probably going to make it worse. And Arias, same thing to a degree, to be honest. I want to see them make a move to call up somebody for the bullpen. This bullpen is just downright bad at times. We're really missing Andrew Nardi and Declan Cronin. I think that cannot be understated.
Oh, that's your big studs. You're missing your studs in the bullpen, and you're filling it with Phillies. And I don't mean the Philadelphia kind. I mean, like, people that aren't ready to be in the position that they're in, and they're being forged in there. I'm not saying they're bad. Like, look, George Soriano's just not ready, but they have no one else they really want to waste right now. And he had a good, in his rookie season, he was decent. So he has the potential to be good, and they're giving him any opportunity. When you're scheduled or told or talked about losing 92 games or 100 games, you're just trying to eat innings right now. And the arms that you're talking about, maybe you save till later in the season. Maybe you save till next season when you're more competitive. You don't want these guys, and I have conversations with other people who follow baseball like we do, and we have the conversations of how pitchers are just being used right now, kind of like mules. They're only as good as their next pitch, which has to be in the upper 90s to hundreds to make them special. So they're overcompensating. Maybe Soriano's overcompensating, but I would continue to give him an opportunity, not in leverage situations.
No.
When you're down 6-7 runs, yeah, that's fine. Let him come in like Saturday night, but do not bring him in. And even last night with uh, against Seattle last night, they brought in Phillips, and you're only down by 1 run. Why are you bringing in Phillips when you're down by 1 run? He got out of it, but that's not the place for these guys.
Well, that was honestly, I think that goes to McCullough. The blame is on McCullough for that because the Marlins had a couple runners on. Norby's at the plate. Why can't Bender and Phillips warm up in the pen at the same time? Bender in case you make things close, Phillips in case it's a blowout. Because I'm listening to the broadcast and Kyle Seeloff is saying, well, Bender couldn't get ready in time. He didn't have enough time to warm up, so that forced McCullough to bring in Phillips. That can't happen. This is the major leagues. You got to be better than that. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the LA series, what the Marlins have to do to have success. A really couple interesting pitchers. We'll start. Edward Cabrera on Monday night, and then Sandy Alcantara. We're still waiting for vintage Sandy. We're going to talk about them, talk about the Dodgers series right after this. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Gametime gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Personally, I love finding my seat ahead of time, knowing exactly what it looks like, and knowing exactly what the price is. That's why for me, I found Gametime a while ago, and it just so happens it's the official ticketing partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. So I think that's pretty cool because when I go to a game, could be a minor league game, could be a basketball game or a Marlins game, I want to know exactly what I'm purchasing. I don't want to see all this extra fees and made up cover charges. No, just let me know what I got to pay and I'll go to checkout. So it makes it really easy for that because it filters out all that extra stuff. So if you're interested in this, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But you can also listen to the pod wherever you go. Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. And I'm here with LMF. It's Locked On Marlins. Let's Get Louder Monday. Talking about this Dodger series, this West Coast trip. It's really hard to stay up for these games. I mean, these night games are brutal. I cannot podcast right after the game like I usually do. I got to do it the next morning because there's no way I'm staying up till 3 a.m. doing the podcast.
It's rough. I'm a little bit older than you. I'm about almost 40. It's hard waking up in the mornings, even on the weekends early when you're going to bed at 1:30, 2 o'clock. But I love this team enough that if they're not getting blown out like Saturday night, I have no problem staying up if they're in it and cheering them on. That's what
Absolutely
we do as fans. Yep.
Yeah, we're ride and die. That's the nature of the game. We love this team a lot, and that's why we do this podcast. LMF's here every single Monday, by the way. So just to expect, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you guys are subscribed. The Los Angeles Dodgers are an absolute wagon of a baseball team. The Marlins are going to be out-talented in this one from start to finish, but they have an opportunity because Sandy Alcantara is pitching in this series, and then Jekyll and Hyde himself, Edward Cabrera, opens the series on Monday. I never know what to expect with him. It's frustrating because he used to be one of my favorite prospects. I had high expectations for him. I'm at the point where it's just a coin flip. It's either good Eddie or bad Eddie.
It's going to be a rough series in Los Angeles. Even
No
Sandy
optimism?
has. It's going to be a rough series, but fun. Fun, but rough. Look, even with Sandy going at his best, he's always struggled in Los Angeles, except for the All-Star game when he pitched there in 22. If you remember in 23, before his 23 before his injury, he pitched in LA, only lasted a few innings. That was one of his worst starts also in the league. But then he came back the week later when Los Angeles came here and he kicked their butt in his next start. So he's hit or miss, but this lineup is just disgusting. Like I don't think that any other team is built like Los Angeles. They're beatable. The Pirates beat them. They've been swept this season. They're not as great on as they should be on paper, and everybody struggles. But look, at the top of that lineup, you have Shohei Ohtani. That's not your normal leadoff hitter, but he's right there. You have Freddie Freeman. You have Mookie Betts. I'm missing people, but that lineup is just jacked. The only one that you can strike out is Miguel Rojas because he's junk. Sorry, Rojas, not sorry. But yeah, that lineup is just disgusting, and it's going to be hard. They're the World Series champions. You just hope to salvage one game. I don't care which game it is. You hope to salvage one, and you hope to sneak one out. So get 2 wins if you can. One, I'd be happy. I don't like being swept.
Yeah, I hate getting swept. It's a very disheartening feeling. I'm kind of with you. I want to stay optimistic with this team, but the way they're built right now, if the pitchers can't give you more than 5 innings, there's no way this bullpen is going to hold up against the Dodgers. They're too powerful, too potent, so much depth, 1 through 9 through the lineup. The Marlins will get clipped. I wonder how many runs the Dodgers are going to score because Seattle's offense is nothing like LA. And Miami had a decent start from Cal Quantrill. They got Mariners scored 4, but the second game 14 runs, and then the final game 7 runs. Things could get ugly in LA. You really need Cabrera to have one of his annual crazy surprise starts in which he goes 7 shutout, striking out 10, and then all the pitching analysts and everybody goes, "Whoa, look at this talent." But deep down, Marlins fans know that's what he does. He's done that to us for years. It's frustrating. It's not really a good thing.
And you hope on the last game that Contrell pitches all right. I think
Yeah.
being in the West last year with Colorado, he faced them a few times. I don't know his record, but he has seen them before, so hopefully that helps in his favor and not the batter's favor. So it hopefully we can sneak out 2 wins. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say we sweep them. No, that's not happening. But I'll say we could sneak out 2 wins versus LA. We did it last year. Of course, they kicked our butts at home when Shohei got his 50 for 50.
Oh yeah.
But I that was last year. This is a totally different group, and these young men, it's their first time playing under those lights in Los Angeles for a bunch of them. I think that the offense can stand out. I can see like a Stantonian style monster dong to left field from Agustin Ramirez. That would be nice to see.
And I think we can all agree that if Ramirez isn't catching, he's DH, locked in at DH. There's no way he's taken out of the lineup in the foreseeable future, whether that is, with the return of Nick Fortes, because that's going to be an interesting problem the Marlins are going to have. I don't know what they do, but there's no way you send down Ramirez. You put him at DH, bring back Fortes. What do you do with Hicks? Do you want to just cut ties with Hicks and have Ramirez and Fortes? Before we wrap it up, what would you do?
You keep 3 catchers.
You keep him?
Ronnie Simon goes down. Fortes takes his place. Look, Fortes earned his spot here. He was hitting okay before his back injury. Like, you can't take
Yeah.
that away from him. And I like what Hicks has done. I would hate to send him back. Keep three catchers. Have either Fortes or Augustin, at DH. You know, if they're playing Jesus Sanchez at center every day, which I think is nuts to begin with, but they're doing it. And unfortunately, Dane Myers isn't getting the at bats that he should. But that's not a bad thing. You know, when you're worrying about putting people in instead of having to take people out, that is a good thing and a very deep team. So Bendix has cooked and did his job so far.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. You don't really want to send down Hicks, but throwing out ideas, the three catcher situation makes sense if you're ready to commit to Ramirez moving off of the position permanently, because he would be DH, and yet you have Hicks and Fortes who are better defenders. Although I really don't think Ramirez is that bad, but you really don't have anything to lose. Also, if you're the Marlins, Joe Mack is on the way, and then Davison De Los Santos is another guy who's starting to knock on the door. He's cut down on his chase rates. On Sunday, hit an absolute jack, walked it off for Jacksonville. Jacksonville is on fire to start the season. But that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. And for your second listen of the day, go check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. It's over on the Locked On MLB channel. For LMF, for Jeremiah, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.